It's Monday, it's 8 p.m, it's the Monday assessment. Up the Jills!
Your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the high times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Monday Assessment by the view from the Medway Fancast, sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wicked Creative, and in partnership with Sports Social Podcast Network and Her Game 2, the podcast that remains inexplicably committed to documenting Gillingham Football Club's ongoing social experiment in disappointment. Saturday's 2-1 defeat away to Fleetwood was not an accident. It was a carefully executed reminder of who we are. We scored first because of course we did, just to make absolutely sure the collapse would hurt that little bit more. From that moment on, it was the usual masterclass in self-sabotage, defenders retreating like they'd seen a ghost, midfielders hiding, and a complete inability to do the most basic thing in football, protect a lead for any sustained period of time. Fleetwood didn't outplay us, they didn't need to. They simply stood there, waited for the panic to set in and capitalised on errors so predictable you could have set your watch by them. Another away defeat, another performance that will be defended by people who think effort is the same thing as competence. So welcome along, get comfortable and join us as we tear apart 90 minutes that perfectly sums up Gillingham Football Club's biggest strength, the ability to raise hope just long enough to completely destroy it. I'm delighted this evening to be joined by Mr. Warren Taylor. I'm joined by Dom Ballard and I'm joined by the Alcorn. So how are we this evening, gents?
All good.
Good evening. Oh, yeah, not bad.
Yep, I just want to say before we get going, I am wearing my Under Armour top. I've been to the gym today because I'm trying to get over a few things in my life where, you know, mental health isn't quite there. So if anyone's looking for a season ticket, I'm happy to give it to you. And we can really switch on from there. So I will quickly go to Warren. And obviously this week's Views News.
Yeah, good evening all. I'd like to talk about Conor Masterson coming back, which is pretty good news. I've done some figures through Chris giving me homework this week. And I've just been going through all the season since Conor's been with us. And his record, and don't quote me on this because I don't think the quick figures that I've got are quite correct, and some of them might be FA Cup with his appearances related. So, but we've won 61, drawn 60. Sorry, we had a 61% win rate, 64% draw rate, and 80% loss rate. That's wrong. Sorry. We got a not losing with Conor out the side. We've got a 61% rate of not losing. With him in the side, we've got a 64% rate of us not losing at all. So there's a 3% gap there. Now you do that over where we are at the moment in the season. That's another 3 points. We'd be up to 9th in the table. Now with Conor approaching full fitness, I'll go to you, Dom, first. What do you think Conor returning would mean to us?
It definitely improve us. I think we're missing that little bit of experience in the back line. I know he's not, your older old school centre half type of player, but he's someone that's probably been around the game a bit longer than your Gales and your Smiths have. I think we're definitely better with him, but I think the dilemma is when he is fit, is that will we revert back to a 3-back, 5-back, and then that then again stifles our attacking options because we then got 3 centre halves with decent quality that we've got to try and fit in the team again. Would he be my starting as a pair with Gale? Yes, over Smith definitely, but it just worries me that we'll revert back to the back 5, and I don't like the back 5. I can't stand it. We don't score enough as it is, and that formation doesn't help us at all. It makes us look a bit more solid, but solid don't win games for me. Goals win games, and at the moment we're not scoring enough goals to win games.
Yeah, I agree. Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'll bring something to the team, of course, and when he's on form and fit, he's pretty decent for us. So I think most people will welcome him back in the team. But I'm a bit like you. I hate 5 at the back. I really hate 5 at the back. I hate playing 1 up front. Both those things are anathema to me. And so I'd like him just with Gale. And then we go from there because someone's bound to get injured or suspended or whatever anyway at some point. So yeah, I like him a lot. It's just a shame with his injury record. But he should bring a bit of sort of like guile and a little bit of confidence and a little bit of calmness to the defence. Because at the start of the season, the defence was looking pretty solid, wasn't it, most of the time, and a decent unit. But it seems to have lost its mojo in the last 6 weeks, and so maybe his return will be the catalyst for it becoming more solid again.
Yeah, Chris, what do you believe Masterson brings to the party?
He's our most senior centre back, mate. It's as simple as that. I think I kind of echo what Dom says. You have to look at it where we've got very young centre backs at the moment. You've got Travis, you've got Andy, and you've got Sam. I think that he just brings a little bit of calmness with it. Not saying that he's not necessarily punch and go centre back in the respect of he he can get injured, but he brings a calmness there. I just don't think the way that it is at the moment, with the greatest respect to Sam, with the greatest respect to Andy, and with the greatest respect to Travis, and even when you've got Robbie stepping in there, I just don't think that it necessarily works. And I think that he's kind of like a bit of a cement that kind of like brings it all together.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, before I move on to another subject, I'd like to ask all 3 of you, would you play Masterson, and I know 2 of the answers, would you play Masterson in a 3 at the back? And if you're going to play him in a 4, who would be central defensive partner? Chris?
I would probably play him with Sam.
So you go 4 at the back, Chris?
I'd go for... I don't like the 5. I don't think that it works necessarily. I just think that, I think if we play a 4, then we actually have a little bit of width on the wings as well. So, I'm going for a 4, and I'd play Masterson and Gale at this moment in time.
Dom?
Yeah, I agree with that. Masterson and Gale for me, definitely. Get rid of this 5 at the back nonsense. I can't stand it.
Eddie?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that one. So
I'm not.
Oh, all right. Well, you're a curmudgeon.
What a surprise.
I personally would play Masterson alongside McKenzie at the moment. I think Sam Gale needs a rest. Travis and Andy Smith are just not up to it, I'm afraid. But I would play those 2 as my 2 centre halves, unless we sign somebody who I've been crying out for 2 years, right? A proper leader, a nice, hard-hitting centre half in probably the Mark Harris type mould. No nonsense, was a real leader, and you never got past him, whether it was by fair means or foul. So I'm different, and I am, but I just like a bit more experience at the back, I'm afraid. And Sam Gale's great to come in. I would possibly even look at playing right back in a 4 instead of Hutton. but that's entirely my opinion. But we'll move on to the FA Youth Cup. Now, unfortunately, Gillingham lost 2-0 to Stevenage last week. What do you think is important about us doing well in the FA Youth Cup? And believe you me, we did do well to get to where we were, because normally we're knocked out in the first round by some non-league side. So, Chris, what do you think is important about doing well in the FA Youth Cup?
I think it's competitive minutes in the legs for the younger lads. I think at this stage, I don't know, with their development, it just helps. I don't necessarily think that we should be, thinking too much into it. Stevenage are a very good side. They've obviously got a very good youth setup. I watched the game and they were just a little bit better. It's as simple as that. But it gets minutes into the legs. It gets the lads having that experience. So yeah, that's it for me.
Eddie, I know you've been to a couple of FA Youth Cup matches this year, I think.
Not this year, but over the years, I normally go. It was a clash this year, and then one game I was ill, but I normally go. Yeah.
So over the years, you would probably be better for all the listeners to comment on FA Youth Cup or our youth teams between now and the past. Where do you think we are in our youth team?
I think currently it's improved from how it was 3 or 4 years ago. I think it got neglected, and I think that there was a lack of scouting and a lack of coordination, I think, and poor facilities. And I think that, in the managed decline of the last few years under Scally, everything was neglected, including the youth. And so we didn't have many players come through. And if you saw the Youth Cup games or, pre-season friendlies, you'd go, how many of these players are going to end up playing in the, the Ryman League in 3 years' time? And you go, quite a lot of them, or, Conference South or something. And there weren't many that did come through. I'm more hopeful now. And I think Joe Dunn's is like absolutely spot on to have him there. He's still through, but he knows footballers, he knows youth development. So I'm very hopeful. He knows what he's doing. And I think that, assuming our scouting and everything has improved, that we'll be able to, maybe have more players come through. I think there is a problem, though, with our facilities, that I think different academies get graded on facilities and everything else. And we're not a category 1. So I think that limits how far people can travel and other things. So that needs to be addressed, I think. In terms of actual Youth Cup performances, I think that's, it's a big thing for the boys or the lads, because they play on the proper ground, home or away, proper league grounds, and there's often 300 or 400 people watching. And the intensity is there from both sets of players. It's not just another game at 12, at Beechings Cross. There's proper intensity. There's consequences. You can go deep in the draw. I mean, obviously, I think the winners are away to Bolton. It wasn't a very juicy carrot, but I've seen some absolute belting FA Youth Cup games over the years, so it isn't always a good guide of who's going to come through, but I do think our youth development's in safer hands than it was 4 years ago, anyway.
Yeah, cheers, Ed. Dom, I'll come to you. If you was in charge of Gillingham Football Club, what is the one thing that you think could improve our youth setup?
That's a loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah. Get me on the board if I get this right. I think, as Eddie says, obviously they grade things on like facilities, etc. And obviously, the better your youth set up, probably the more chance you've got better players coming through. The FA Cup, obviously, I don't watch it, but it's good to see them doing well, and it's good exposure for them to come and play them sort of games, as Eddie says. But I think more at our level now is that when we've got youth coming through, if you're good enough, it doesn't matter how old you are. But these sort of games get you ready to see if you are good enough. Like we all thought Sam Gale was going to be gone before he's saved. Now he's done quite well out of it by getting the team again the last couple of seasons. But But especially at our level now, I think if you've got a good youth player or two that you can sell on and have a sell-on fee included, it does set you up quite well. Like, for example, Ollie Watkins got sold for multi-millions, and that's probably financially set them up for the last 10 years. So it is a good chance. And the prime example is the Rangers lad that went to the Peterborough lad that went to Rangers this summer was in our youth academy. We let him go for free, and they sold him for about £4 or £5 million. So
yeah, I think Max Kilman's the one when he went for
another one.
million.
Yeah, so there's probably been quite a few that have slipped through the net. But obviously, as Eddie said, I think Joe Dunn's he'll do a good job. He knows what's needed and required, so we're in good hands.
Yeah, I think the facilities are the main thing for me. If you're going to grow a youth academy, you got to get it up to the top standard. Now, whether that means us trying to buy beachings from the local council or not, I don't know. Or looking at training facilities elsewhere away from the Medway towns, because there's not that many places now where you can build 5 or 6 pitches and have the youth structure that's needed to get a Grade 1 licence. So, but well done at the youth team getting this far. Unfortunately, we went out, and I hope that with our upcoming youngsters, we're looking to go further next year. I'm now going to go on to something that over the last few weeks has really, really cheesed me off. Okay. Now, up until the end of September, especially when I started Project 8000, it was because there was a great atmosphere amongst Gillingham fans. Home and away, everyone was together. Everyone was being nice to each other on social media. Everyone was getting on. Everybody was doing their bit. And when I started the Project 8000, it was because I wanted people to enjoy the atmosphere that Gillingham fans were creating. Now, over the last few weeks, I have noticed that some of the abuse on social media towards certain people has been nothing short of abhorrent. Now, it's bullying. It is out and out bullying when you can't actually go and speak to a person and tell them what you actually think. You have to use social media as a tool to have a go at people and for either expressing their opinions, expressing the way they are, expressing who they are. It's wrong. And it needs to stop now, Gillingham fans, because it's not nice. People have families, people have partners, people have lives. They work in different environments. There's no need for the abuse. Have a discussion, have an opinion, but respect each other's opinion. But the abuse has got to stop. You're just making going to football an extremely toxic environment. Now, I don't want to go to a toxic environment. I want to go where all the Gillingham fans are together, win, lose or draw. And unfortunately in sport, we do either win, lose or draw. There is 3 outcomes to every game. And I've watched Gillingham when we've had a lot worse teams than this, and I've seen Gillingham when we've had a lot better teams than this, right? It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it's our club. Treat it as our club and be nice to the individuals. You can have your constructive criticism, and later in the show, you'll see me talking about the game on Saturday, but I'm not going to have a go and be particularly nasty to any individual. I will tell you what's going on and what's not going on within these people as a football player and what maybe needs to improve. But I will not be calling them names and telling them that they're the arse end of nowhere. So please, 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 my message to every Gillingham fan that watches this show, right? If you're on social media, stop the abuse. It's not called for. And it needs to get rid of. So stop. End of story. I'm going to come to you, Dom, first. Okay. Why do you think there is so much abuse of people on social media within the Gillingham supporters content as such?
I just think there's quite a good number of people that don't like people's opinions and don't know how to counteract it with a good, sensible argument. I mean, I won't lie, I'll probably post some things in the time. Probably I'll regret, definitely. Not being like hurtful by on purpose, but sometimes frustrations after you've been on the sauce all day does go a bit to your head. I can understand that. It's not acceptable. But you do say things in the moment. And, you know, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do it on social media, it'd be much better if you just do it in person over a pint. I'm sure you probably did back in the day, like all three of you. Which is probably the best way to do it.
Wait, what are you saying? I ain't that old.
I agree, Dom. When we used to talk about football, is everyone in the old social club, and you'd sit and chat. So I'm going to come to you, Eddie. Right? What is the line of abuse?
Oh, I'm the beholder sometimes, but I think people need to remember we can agree to differ. I think just like you can have an opinion, you can argue it out, but you don't have to agree at the end of it. You can just shake hands or go, yeah, you think that and I think that, and not take it personally. People don't have to take it personally if you disagree about something. Now, I think for some people, they just blurt stuff out because they're frustrated. And I understand people being frustrated right now because this is like deja vu all over again, 3 years running, right? And I get that. I think that one of the other things that's at play still is that towards the end of the Scally era, it was very divisive because some people were pro, some were anti, some were sick and tired of it all, but there was a divide in it. And because of the arguments that occurred then, I think people got entrenched and got into a habit of not listening to the other person and got into the habit of it's my way or the highway. And I think that some of the empathy and sympathy and togetherness got lost in that period. And then obviously when we perk up and it's 21 games unbeaten, everyone rubs it together along fine, don't they? But I think the patience of some people, it doesn't take much for them to suddenly get on their high horse or cross a line. We're all entitled to our opinions. Some are going to be less valid than others, obviously, and everyone should be open to discussion. But I think the lack of just the basic, you know, we agree to differ. We're Gills fans all in it together, but we can disagree over who do we think should be in goal, or, you know, who should we sign next, or who should be dropped, or should we play 5 at the back or 2 up front, or whatever it is. We need to remember we're all Gills together. And I think you're alluding to pre-social media back in the day, when we were watching the Gills, pre-internet and all that. The thing is, you could talk to your friends or like-minded people, and you might not hear the arguments from someone else who you think's batshit crazy, actually, or you could just avoid them in the pub, or just steer away from them, or avoid them. You know, but because things can just be plonked online and sit there, it's slightly different, isn't it? Now, obviously, some of us are quite well known and we use our real names and we're willing to back up what we say. But you get other people on certain mediums where they can hide behind another name and just be spiteful. And that's the nature of the beast, not just Gills fans, obviously. That's just how some social media thrives, doesn't it?
Yeah. Cheers.
We're not going to fix that. But I do think Gillingham fans need to remember, you know, there's a finite number of Gillingham fans. Let's all stick together because we're basically part of an extended family, whether we like it or not, you know. So remember that.
Yeah, cheers, Ed. Chris, I've come to you. Now, I often tell you off some of the things that you put out on social media, right? Not because they're abusive or whatever. I just think that sometimes you need to think before you speak. What would your message be to some of these people that think it's okay to abuse others?
Don't know, mate. I've never been abused on social media in my entire life. No one's ever told me anything. No, I'm joking. No, for me, mate, look, if we're talking about social media in isolation, I think, you do have to think, I'm okay with people mugging the podcast off. I'm okay with people saying that, oh, we shouldn't be doing a podcast. I'm okay with doing that. It's when it gets personal. When it gets personal and people are taking pictures of my social media, my Facebook from 15 years ago and then posting it on social media, I don't think that's acceptable. I think there is a line to be drawn then. To caveat that as well, I do want to bring up, because obviously we are in partnership with Her Game Too, and the absolute vitriol and abhorrent stuff that Sarah was objected to on Saturday, as well as other female fans that were trying to defend her. When you got people saying, "Oh, one drink and she's anyone's," and then it's just abhorrent, mate. There's no need for it. At the end of the day, we are all Gillingham fans. Oh, sorry, hold on. I've just dropped my fidget spinner. Yeah, so we are literally, these are the reasons why the likes of Her Game 2 exist, is because, it's equality in football. I would go to a game and we're sitting, like, post a picture and put it on away days. No one would batter an eyelid, because the females doing it and they're saying, oh, they want to finger blast her and they want to, one drink is anyone else's.
Can I stop you, mate? Right. Because I don't think we should be going into certain people. I'm talking about the online abuse for everybody, not just
No, I appreciate that.
I understand what you're saying, but some of the things are best left to one side, right? And it should be just done as a collective rather than.
But then, if we're talking about online abuse, we are also talking about females getting singled out.
Yeah, but females, but not individual names, please. Right? This is. I'm sorry, but abuse is abuse. Doesn't matter whether it's against females, males, whoever. Right? The abuse, to me, has got to stop.
Yeah, of course. And I've been singled out for it myself, mate. But at the same time, I just think it's abhorrent for females to be treated the way that they are being treated.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Right? And I'm the first one to stand up. But for me, it's the whole Gillingham fan base that seem to think that it's right that they can pick on certain individuals for abuse, right? That is wrong, in my opinion. And that's what I wanted to get on this week, is I wanted to attack anyone who thinks that abusing anyone online is wrong. First and foremost, you're just a bully.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop.
It does, mate. And to be fair, like, there's been certain instances where I've had arguments with people online. I'm like, look, I'll happily speak to you face to face about it. And these people never actually come around and speak to you. It's a hard situation, because, none of us should be subjected to it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Dom, in all the years that he's been doing things, and like with the Jill's thing that he used to do, like the video things, I'm sure he's been through it as well. I'm sure Eddie's been through it. I'm sure you've been through it. It shouldn't happen, mate. It shouldn't happen. At the end of the day, we're just trying to do things like, because one, we enjoy it. Two, we support the football club, and three, like, just we're trying to have a bit of fun. Like, what is the point of abusing?
I agree, mate. I'm in total agreement with you. I think what happened at the weekend, what has happened in the last couple of weeks, what has happened in the last 6 weeks. At some point, I've seen people arguing, and it's got to the point where it's got abusive.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I can call out 100 people on here. I can put everyone's name down that I would call out to be a bully. There's one guy, I'm not going to call his name out, but there's one guy who's had about 5 different handles on Twitter, and he keeps changing his name and coming up with the same shit.
Mm.
And this is the problem with social media. You can go on under an assumed name, as Eddie said, and do whatever you want. And there's no recourse because you don't know who that person is.
Can I just say, though, at Shrewsbury, there was almost like a punch-up between Gillingham fans in real life.
Was that because of Jake Turner's back pass or something, wasn't it?
Because people were arguing over the qualities of Jake Turner, yeah. And some people were taking the piss out of him, and other people saying, well, yeah, but he's playing for us in this match at the moment, so we need, back the player during the game. And so it's not always just online. I mean, and people were like, you were shocked in one sense that Gills fans nearly came to blows at Shrewsbury over a difference of opinion over a goalkeeper. I mean, you can have your opinions on him either way. I'm not his greatest fan, but if he's playing, I'm not going to try and destroy him in the middle of a game. Do you know what I mean? But it's part of the just frustration and the disgruntlement slightly, I think, of some people, and there maybe are too many beers. But on other times, I think people just feel like they can say these things when back in the day, I think people would have frowned upon it a bit and gone, look, we're all Gills together here.
Yeah, personally, I think since COVID, a lot of people have got this self-righteousness that they think that they can say anything, do anything, not understand the word no, and be pretty nasty, horrible individuals. And it's since COVID that this has happened more and more. I didn't see the levels of this sort of rubbish pre-COVID. And I think COVID's got a lot to answer for. But ultimately, it's down to each and every one of us and all those Gillingham fans out there to actually think about what they're saying and the repercussions of what they say it can have on individuals. And I want it to stop. So that's it from me. I'll hand you back over to Chris.
Yeah, so we will quickly do our Guess Who because I forgot at the top. So the Guess Who this week played for Leyton Orient, played for Man City, played for Wolves, played for Brentford, and of course Gillingham. I don't want anyone to put any ideas at the moment, but he's a personal friend of mine. There's your clue. So we will quickly move on to the lineups. And so we had Jake Turner in goal. We then had a back five of Romeo Hutton, Travis Akamaya, Andy Smith, Sam Gale and Aaron Rowe. We then had Amani Little and Robbie McKenzie in front of them. Daki was then in at the 10 with Seb Palmer Holden and Elliot Nevitt up front. Oh, that took a while to come back on. So, yeah, boys, we go with you, Dom. And obviously, we know you was at Ali Paddy at the weekend. How was that, mate, to begin with?
I'm still getting over it. I'm back again tomorrow as well.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Dom, I'll go with you, mate. And your thoughts on the actual lineup. We won't go too much into the game at this stage.
I was glad to see McKenzie back in midfield. I think for me, the worst thing we've done was put him at the back. I know Warner probably disagree with that. But I just think we lost that little bit of steel in midfield when he did get dropped back into the back two or back three as it was. But again, the disappointing thing for me is the back five. Aaron Rowe, he had a good game against Barrow, scored a good goal, and we've instead of being proactive, we've been negative and dropped him back into a position where I don't think it's not his position for me. I'd sooner see a back four with Clark back in a natural left back and Rowe ahead of him to let him have a bit of freedom to do what he can do and what we have seen last week. It doesn't surprise me that we went back five though, because we're away from home. I think we were a bit worried, even though the Ainsworth did label it a must win. It also was a mustn't lose, and sadly we didn't lose.
Yeah, and I think that's quite poignant, Eddie, isn't it? When Dom says like it's a must win, but we shouldn't have lost that game, should we? And before we actually get into the game itself, what were your thoughts on the lineup itself, mate?
The lineup, well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of five at the back, and it's not Rowe's fault, but he's not a natural fullback, and I just think that that's an accident waiting to happen. So I wasn't that delighted with that setup, and obviously there when the team sheets were handed out in the gym spa before the game, obviously we had a slightly different lineup, and then McCleary got injured in the warm up. Yeah. I think he might have made a difference on that day because Fleetwood didn't seem that pacey at the back, and I think maybe him running at them might have actually caused them a bit more havoc than that we managed. I mean, we'll go on to the game in a minute, but yeah. So I wasn't full of joy with the lineup, but obviously we've got injuries and suspensions and everything else at the moment, so it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And Warren, yourself, mate, and your thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, it's pretty much what I expected. It surprised me that Coleman was dropped and Mackenzie came back into midfield. Purely and simply because when you go to places like that, you need people to dig in a little bit. And unfortunately, with Little and Mackenzie in midfield, I think we're a bit lightweight, a little bit. Personal opinion. Rowe at left back should never played out. I think we all know that. It's been an experiment. It's not worked. When are we going to see that dropped? I don't get it. I mean, McCleary being out, as Ed said, was a bit disappointing because he was in the team sheet, and then suddenly we got in the ground, and he's nowhere near the side. But unfortunately, with all the injuries we got and whatever, we can't have. If you're picking from a full squad, you'd have a different team, but we're not, and that's all we got.
Well, I was getting to the point now where I don't think we can keep making excuses for the team. Like, at the end of the day, every team has injuries. Aaron Rowe, I agree. I don't think he should play there. I think, Max Clark is probably pulling his hair out. The fact that the last couple of games he can't get in the side, because defensively he's definitely better. And I'm not calling Aaron Rowe out as an individual, but the last 3 or 4 goals that we conceded, well, the 2 that we conceded last week and probably 1 this week, are probably down to the fact that he's not a defensive-minded player. And that's not calling him out. That's just, he's not that kind of player. Therefore, I think that they probably don't happen if Max Clark was there. But so we get on to the game. We talk about the first half in isolation, because second half we won't talk about in isolation. We'll talk about the issues. So, Eddie, I'll go with your thoughts on the first half.
First half was solid. It wasn't spectacular, but we more than edged it. Obviously, got the early goal from Dak with a little deflection, and we had a brilliant chance to make it 2-0 with a fantastic move. It was like pass, cut through and cut back, and Palmer Holder missed. If that had gone in, I think we'd have won the game, but it didn't. And so, it was a 4th division game on a windy day sort of thing. So it wasn't a classic, but we looked the better, more solid side, more settled. And then it all unravelled, as we all know. But
yeah. Warren, yourself, and the windy town of Fleetwood that everyone keeps making excuses yet again.
What a load of rubbish. It was a slight breeze. It wasn't windy at all. It was a slight breeze. Ed, where'd you get all this wind from? Because where you sat, it must have been like hurricane force. Because where I was, there was no wind. There's no wind.
No, but when the ball went high, some of the kicks went and then started going, goal kicks and things. I think if you were sheltered, it wasn't too bad. But I mean, it's not the windiest day we've had, but and it wasn't as windy as it normally is there. It's normally hideously horrible there, and it wasn't. So
And to be honest, they're professional footballers that play a game that's played in the winter. It's not played in the summer. Constantly.
It wasn't an excuse on our performance. I was just saying that impacted, I think, slightly on the quality at times. That was all I was trying to say.
Honestly, I've got a right hump with this wind excuse. Right? It was very windy. It weren't. Right? Absolute rubbish. and I'm afraid first half, Chris, we was okay. Did we have gone ahead? Yes. Unfortunately, Palmer Holden, the guy who looks like he's still being breastfed by his mum, is just shocking up front. I'm sorry. I just don't see anything in him. I'm sorry, I don't. I'd like to. I want to. But just his movement's not. He doesn't move into the right areas when we've got the ball out wide.
Yeah.
He doesn't come short to hold it up. He can't win a header. I don't get the fascination with him. Sorry. Nevitt worked tirelessly in the first half. I'm not saying that Nevitt had a full game, but Nevitt worked really hard in the first half. I thought that was midfield making things happen. He was passing balls left, right, and centre, and he deserved his goal because again he got in another shooting position, which our forwards don't seem to want to do. And did we flatter to deceive? Probably. Should we have been better than 1-0 at half time? Definitely.
Yeah, so Dom, I'll go to you, mate. And obviously, you weren't at the game at the weekend, but that doesn't matter because the second half was an absolute capitulation. I don't think that we were in any way, shape, or form very good. What we keep going through the same bullshit every season for the last 3 or 4 seasons, mate. You know, we start off well. August, September, we're absolutely brilliant. And then October, we fall away, September, and now we're into December. So what do you think needs to change, Dom?
On the topic of the game, I think even if you have me speak first here, I could probably describe the game, and I think Ed and Warner probably agree with what I say. I can only base off the stats and the scoreline. It's just like I could probably say exactly how the game went, why it happened, how it happened, and it's just we're creeping in. If not, we've already crept into old habits again. And you can see post-match from Ainsworth's interview, he looked obviously pretty pissed off with what's being served up, and that's probably the first time I've actually seen him look that way. And I think the penny's actually dropped now that right, maybe what I inherited in the last season, what was the start of this season, perhaps isn't what I expected to be in December. And you know, and since he's come back, we all know the issues. We just don't do enough to win games of football. We don't score enough goals to win games of football. You know, we can keep sitting back on this. Oh, we're hard to beat. We're hard to beat. It's no good being like, you know, trying to be hard to beat if you still can't get the results out of it. And at the moment, we're not getting results that are good enough to be anywhere near challenging for promotion.
Yeah. I don't even think we're that hard to beat, to be fair, Warren, at the moment. I mean, it's kind of like the last 3 or 4 games. Like, we've gone back to playing as individuals. I don't even think we're that hard to beat. Like, they didn't even have to try too hard, did they?
The first thing I want to talk about is the penalty incident, which was a great save by Jake Turner, by the way. The penalty incident, it started off with Dak losing the ball, not bothering to run after it. Amani Little, our captain, absolute dreadful shying away from a challenge. It then went to Andy Smith to make a challenge, and he completely got sold an absolute dummy. Then Akamir failed to clear. Then Hutton didn't get close enough to his man, which then meant Gale came across and dived in and gave away a penalty. I mean, I can't tell you how angry I am. Forget the rest of the game, right? That penalty incident and the build-up play to that penalty incident has made me more cross than anything. But it also shows us where we are mentally as a football team.
That's not the first kind of goal we've conceded like that either this season. There's been a very good number of them that have happened time and time again.
Yeah, I honestly, I was appalled at it. Right, I'll go on to both the goals, right, where we've both allowed crosses in from out wide where we haven't got close enough to players from our wing back areas who should have been getting closer, and then the lack of marking in the middle. We give away a free kick in the second half, which Jake Turner put over the bar, which, again, another needless free kick, which we shouldn't be giving away in the position that it is. We stopped giving the ball to Dak. He stopped passing it. It was the only bright spark out of the whole lot of them in the second half. And I don't know what our forwards. I don't know what our forwards were doing. We brought off Palmer Holden and brought on Johnny Smith. I think Johnny Smith touched the ball twice.
Yeah.
And what did he do with it? Not really a lot. There's an inherent problem with everyone that we've got, where we're okay at the start of the season. We get to the middle, it gets a bit tougher. We lose a game that we shouldn't lose, and everyone's heads drops between their knees. The work ethic goes out the window. You look at the work ethic we had at Grimsby when we lost 1-0 and we was conned by the ref.
9 men, weren't we?
Those players put in a shift and a half.
Yep.
Right? Where are those players now?
Yeah.
What has happened? Is it something that's going on behind the scenes in the dressing room? Is it just a player's frail mentality? Or what's the problem? The football club being quiet about it, right, to me doesn't do the football club any favours. Because it doesn't happen 3 seasons on the trot, right, for no reason. Right? And that second half performance on Saturday was everything about where we are as a football club.
Yeah, but then, so this kind of leads me on nicely to you, Eddie. Can we keep using injuries as an excuse? Because, you know, the amount of teams that are in this league, they all have injuries, right? It's about managing them injuries. So does that technically fall on Gareth, or is it a case of, you know, I've been banging that drum for a couple of years now, as we all know, about recruitment. And I do think that I can still die on that hill at the moment, because half of this team for me, mate, are not good enough. Right, and they are here from previous incumbents, and they're still here now. So until we can get to the end of the season and 16 players are out of contract, Gareth can make his own signings. Can we really use this as an excuse, Eddie?
Well, up to a point, it has been an issue, but whether that's an excuse, I'll get to that in a sec. I would say Saturday, second half, gutless capitulation was like the final straw for me. I've defended them and backed them all season, because sometimes we've been a bit unlucky. Sometimes, you know, either whether it's refs or whatever, or injuries to key players, you know, but whatever. But that was just gutless in the second half. And as Warren alluded to, it had all the worst aspects of the last 3 years all in one half of football. Yeah. I mean, you had the errors, you had the slightly passive play, you had the lack of imagination going forward, and you had the, you know, the bad luck as well of certain things. And you just, it was a very glum trip home on the train, and basically the mood, and this is, you know, hardcore Jules fans who go to Fleetwood on the week before Christmas, was our season's over, apart from not getting relegated. I mean, it felt that bad. And it really was. We had a long chat on the way home about who'd you keep, and a clear out, and a fun, and basically everyone we were chatting to backs Ainsworth, and we're putting it firmly on the players. And some of us are starting to feel like some of these players played their arses off at the end of last season to get another contract or to save their skin, and obviously got a second chance. But I don't think Ainsworth will be, you know, burnt again on some of these players. But there's also, I am slightly mystified at the change in form, like 21 games unbeaten, and then to that unrecognisable shambles in the second half. Where did that come from? I mean, you know, we in certain games we've been erratic, but that was just, there was an inevitability about that defeat in the second half, and I hate that bloody pugwash song they play at bloody Fleetwood. I heard that too many times over the years. But even when we saved the penalty, you just thought, are we going to get out of jail here? And yes, they still managed to get a winner, didn't they? And too many errors from too many players, but also just there was a lack of pattern going forward, which we had at the start of the season. The ball wasn't sticking up front, but also the balls going forward were hopeful or just like didn't seem to have enough accuracy or imagination. So either they gave the striker or whoever was nearest the goal no chance against the defender, or you'd need a bloody miracle to turn it into something. And I'll be honest, it's the first time for me, I don't boo them, but I didn't clap them, which is for me, quite big. I was in a real foul mood on the way home and we all were, and we were snapping at each other on the train because everyone was really, really pissed off. You get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you get home at midnight to watch that shower of shit. So, I mean, I normally defend him and don't slag him off, and I don't go on social media every defeat and just go, woe is me, the world is ending. But I was fuming at the end of that.
And do you know what? That's quite telling, Eddie, because you, as you say, you usually do defend them. You defend them to the hilt. And when you've got a fan like yourself that is, speaking the way that you are now, where do we draw the line with this? Like we are literally just going into mid-table to lower table oblivion again. And that for me, that's not Gareth for me, right? He brought signings in the summer, yes, but also Dom, we have 16 players out of contract in the summer. These players need to be told, like, you're playing for your future, don't they?
Well, they did that last year, and look how it's turned out again. I just think we needed to be more ruthless in the summer, in my opinion. And recruitment-wise, I think for the last few years, and definitely, we signed too many players that are exactly the same, no matter how many minutes they play. Whether they start or whether they come on, we still play exactly the same way. So, in my opinion, we're so easy to play against. We just don't do anything different. Like, we go 1-0 up, we play the same way. We go 1-0 down, we play the same way. The subs we bring on are exactly the same, like-for-like players. We don't have anyone that comes on to, like, impact games. Like, even off the bench, like, really, Johnny Smith's coming on for the last, 10 minutes. And as Warren said, he touches the ball twice. What's the point? You might as well just left him on the bench. Yeah. We just don't. It just seems we just have such a lack of a plan B again. And it's just, you can see why people are getting really pissed off. And like Eddie says, he's not one to openly criticise, but when he's coming out and saying things as he's saying now, surely the people like the club have got to understand and look themselves in there and go, right, have we actually fucked this up again?
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah, I don't. This is a bit, and as you say, Dom, we kept too many players that have got too many managers sacked, and it's a definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing exactly the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome.
Like they said, it's a 2-year plan for a reason. I think they know full well that there was players they probably couldn't move on in the summer. That's why they said it's a 2-year plan. Yeah, I think the worst thing we can do now. I know the results are frustrating, but don't get on Ainsworth's back because it's not going to be beneficial for anyone. We know what the issues are. You haven't got to have tinted glasses on to see what the issues are, what the issues aren't. Just keep behind him because he will get it right, I think. But for him to get it right, he's got to have more saying things. He's got to have the final saying things. And people that have perhaps made wrong decisions in the past need to hurry up and get decisions right in the future.
Yep. And I've said this for years, Warren, and I've said it, you can look back at many a podcast that I've said it. You can look back at even to the first or second show we ever did when it was really crap. It's not much better now, but when it was really crap. And, I said then, if a manager is to die on a sword, at least let it be his own. So what would you say to the fans that are, invariably going to get a few that are saying Ainsworth out?
Yeah. it's ridiculous. A manager doesn't build a side in 6, 8, 10 months, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't. It just doesn't happen. However, I don't think that Ainsworth should be exempt from a little bit of criticism for some of the decisions that he's made over the past few weeks, whether it be from his hospital bed or be it from the touchline or the stands or whatever. Because to me, some of these decisions are quite baffling recently. Rowe at left back, some of the substitutions or non-substitutions that he's made or not made are a little bit baffling. Some of his playing the 3 young kids at centre halves, that's a bit baffling to me. I'm sorry, but you can't expect young kids to get you out of this league playing 3 centre halves. I'm sorry, just ain't going to work. Especially when you got two wing backs that can't tackle. It's never gonna end well. All you're gonna do is destroy the confidence of those 3 youngsters, and all the good that they've got turns into bad. They make crap decisions. Yeah. So do I believe Gareth should be exempt from any criticism? No, because I think he's made mistakes. But do I think that I hate this 2-year plan crap, right? You play for tomorrow, right? And the next game, as managers are quite often quick to tell us, the next game's the most important game, right?
Yeah.
2-year plans, right, go very wrong. I can plan for 2 years. Will everything that I say is going to happen in 2 years happen? No.
Yeah.
What? So when I put the question back to you, Chris, when they say 2-year plan, bear in mind when Gareth had last summer transfer window, right? Where do you think this 2-year plan's going?
I think as Dom kind of alluded to there, I do feel personally that, you know, you've got players on contracts that you're not necessarily able to get rid of. So you're limited in a respect. You can't just, you can't literally pay players off left, right and centre. Obviously, we did so with Jack Nolan, and rightly so. But I don't think that you can do that with a lot of them. And for me, you're looking at least 7 or 8 players in that squad. And I'm not going to name them because I'm not going to call individuals out. But you can't get rid of that many players in a row by terminating their contracts, because then you're thinking about compensation. So I think the 2-year plan kind of resides on the side of we're waiting to run them contracts down so we don't have to pay a fee for them. We can then sign players in the summer. The danger you're then running for me is 16 players out of contract. If all of them 16 go, you have to replace them with at least 12 or 13 players, right, in a summer window, which is then going to take time to gel, which is then, you can do all the training you want with them, but it's going to take time to gel in a game situation. We're running a risk at the moment of next season also being, a second, third season year plan, because you're then going into the new year next season with a team that don't necessarily know how each other play. I think you do run that risk, but at the same time, we can't compete in this league. Like we have a good August, we have a good September. We can't compete. Half of this team are not good enough. I'm sorry, but they're not good enough. And that does, to a certain degree, fall down to recruitment. And I didn't want to bring it up tonight, and I didn't want to say it, but it is, they are the facts. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, mate.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we've got to find a short-term answer in January, right? And I'd like to know what all 3 of you think is a short-term answer. What would you do in January to arrest the slide?
Well, I thought what Ainsworth said after the Fleetwood game was very interesting, because he normally defends the team. mentions all the positives, and he's upbeat about things and says all the good stuff. But he just said, if we can't score goals, bluntly, we need to find someone who does. And that's the first time he's ever come out and just basically said, well, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to sign someone else. Now, we don't know what he says behind the scenes normally after a poor performance, but this is the first time publicly he is not he's not sugar-coated. He just said, well, we need to sign a 20-goal-a-season striker. Whether we can get one or not is another matter. But that's the first time he's gone public. I think that he's shown his frustration with the inability of any of our strikers, or apart from Bradley Dack, any of our team to be able to score from 6 yards. So I think that's interesting. I think we will be looking for a striker who can actually score goals. Whether we sign one or not, obviously everyone wants a striker that can score goals. Will we push the boats out and spend a lot of money? I don't know. Will we try and think we're going to find someone somewhere? I don't know. But he obviously has had enough of us not scoring the easy goals and putting games away. And so I think we all know that that's the biggest thing. I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of, if Morris isn't going to be playing, I'd sign another goalie. And I think we all think maybe an enforcer in midfield or a leader might help. But again, we'll see. But the top of the list, everyone's Christmas list, every single Gillingham fan, top of their Christmas list, they'd sacrifice their grand for it. Just get a striker who can score some bloody goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers. Chris?
Yeah, I think I kind of echo what Eddie says, but then, a striker that scores goals in January, you're looking at top dollar, aren't you?
Spend it.
I think you're also looking at, as me and Eddie said on the huddle last week, service. If you're not getting service even if you're spending big money on a striker, if the service isn't there, they're not scoring goals. But yeah, I think a striker, I think maybe someone in midfield, because I think Nelson Kambene could be someone that's very good for us, but he just can't stay fit for toffee, can he? So yeah, I just don't. I think a striker and possibly a winger. I don't know.
Tom?
Yeah, echo what they say. A striker's obviously the main issue, but I think I agree with you, Warren. We do lack that bit of steel, both at the back and in central midfield. We don't have that midfielder that can do both sides of it. Can't put a challenge in, can't create, can't defend. I think we are lacking that a little bit, and that is affecting us and affecting Daki as well, because he's just looking around him. He's got no service into him. So he's doing all this work, and he looked visibly frustrated at full time Saturday. But the one thing for me, I think, in the summer, as soon as he got released, I think it was Mansfield, why we didn't go and sign Aidan Flint is beyond me.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Why didn't we go, take this money, here's a year, if we go up, you get a second year guaranteed. Yep. But instead, I know we talked about Marston earlier. I do like Marston, but we held on a bit far too long for him to sign a deal when we could have literally got a top-end leader, and look where Walsall are now. That sort of leadership. And we are lacking a lot of bollocks, I think.
Yeah. And this is the thing though, Dom, right? Aidan Flint come off the other week with a broken nose, but still played the whole game. Like he's that kind of player, like he will run through brick walls for anything. So yeah, the
game is evolving quite a bit. We are losing these sort of players now, but when they're available and they're there, we've got to get them when we can, and we haven't done that the last few windows.
Yeah.
For me, I'd send Johnny Smith back. I'd send Travis Akamia back. I'd let Sereno go because he's obviously not in part of Ainsworth plans. I'd send Wiley out on loan somewhere because he needs games and he's not going to get anywhere near this Gillingham team, even though we're struggling. And with those 4 wages off the wage bill, I would definitely look to sign a hard leader, either centre half or centre midfield, one or the other, and a striker. If there's any money left in the pot, I'd go out and get a new keeper. But I don't think that's going to happen until the summer.
I think the problem is as well. The reason why this period is so important and why we've ticked off it's such a bad thing is because if we was in and around the top 3 or top 7, I think in January we'd have gone out and probably maybe spent a little bit more than what we probably are going to now. That's the big thing. If we was in a position where we're quite comfortable in the playoffs, if Ainsworth said, I want these 2 players, for example, but they're going to cost a bit of money to get us over the line, I think they would have backed him. But now we're sort of in a position where do they risk spending the money again and giving people long contracts in January, which is the hardest window to buy people, and then end up in the same position again this time next year?
Yeah. Eddie, do you know what's up with Andrews? Or what injury Andrews had?
No. It's all gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? I mean,
because I think
it could be anything to do with him.
We're missing him dreadfully.
Yeah, I mean, he was part of Plan A, wasn't he? The in terms of the structure of the team, for him to win the ball, hold it up, play others in. Yeah. But I mean, this is part of our problem that we have signed some injury-prone players or got some injury-prone players, partly because we've gambled on them not being quite so injured because they're quite good when they're not injured, in theory. But that's bitten us on the arse, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the biggest problems is with Palmer Holden and Nevitt up front, it's like playing ping and pong up front, isn't it? Because it hits them and it just moves away from them, right? And it's like after their second touch is normally a tackle. I think Andrews is a real big miss for us. Obviously, with Vokes injured as well at the same time, hasn't helped us. But it's this lack of information on injuries. It just frustrates the life out of me. They're going to be 4 weeks out. Tell us they're 4 weeks out. At least you can put up with their replacements for 4 weeks, right? But when you say they're back constantly, or they're training, they're doing this, they're doing that, they need a game, whatever, and it turns out to be complete bluster and bullshit. It does my head in. I'd rather be told players out 6 weeks. Yeah, I agree with Ali McGregor. Ewan Williams can go as well, but unfortunately he's on another year contract. And I was talking about the players that we could actually release in January to free up some funds for new players.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. I do agree. And, you know, we can surmise or we can say whatever we want as fans, but, you know, sometimes fans do know better than the club. Like, we can see it on a weekly basis. We pay our money to do it, but you just can't get rid of players that are under contract at a moment's notice. So we have to maybe ride the storm a little bit again this season. I know it's hard, guys, because let's be honest, we're all a little bit PTSD at the moment with regards to the last few seasons, but we've kind of just got to back them. Like, we can't get on their backs as much as we did last season or the season before. I know it's difficult, and you know, I was the first one to boo against Barrow, but yeah, we just got to kind of just ride it at the moment. I can't see us. It's not going to change. Can't see it changing in January. It's not going to change to a certain degree until there's the majority of players that are out of contract in the summer are going to be released, and for me, they're not good enough. So
I think it's going to be an interesting summer.
Yeah. We will do a special show on that one, because I'm pretty sure. Or when we do our retain and release list? Jesus Christ, it's going to be about 3 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we move on to boys, unless there's anything else, of course. We move on to our man of the matches. So I'll start with you, Eddie. Your reasons as to why Daki?
My main. Dak had a decent first half, scored the goal, but he was also at the centre of most of our best bits. So his prompting, movement, a little bit of guile, nice little passing. He sort of made us tick in the first half. And second half, he was the least bad. And he was very frustrated with some of his fellow teammates, I think. And so he's one of the few players that came away with, you know, a plus plus side on the credit form from the whole game, and I'm really enjoying the fact that he seems to have really got his mojo at the moment. It's just a shame that no one seems to be keeping him company. So good. Well, good on him.
Yeah, and I think we said when we was on Huddle, mate, as well. I didn't want to keep Dak in the summer, did I? But at the end of the day, like, he's just got that footballing brain where I don't think a lot of them can keep up with the way that his brain thinks and where his positioning is. I think he's probably a little bit frustrated, And we talk about him being out of contract in the summer. I would not be surprised at all if a League One side come in for him, like back lower end of League One, and we're just like, we'll give you a contract, because I think he's been not back to the Dacky that we knew when he was first here, but the best version of Bradley Dack we could hope for. So I'll go on to you, Dom, and you wanted to give a special mention.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't at the game, so I can't comment too much. But obviously, man of the match for me is obviously the dedicated fans that went up there just before Christmas and got behind the team. Sadly, we're not rewarded with 3 points, but it's a long way to go just before Christmas. So yeah, definitely the fan base for going up there and making the trip. They had man of the match for me.
Yeah,
or man and woman for the match.
Dom did message me and say about giving it to Warren, but I said I didn't want to make his head too big. So. So, Warren, we'll come on to you, mate, and you've gone for Dacky as well.
Yeah, so there was only 2 players worthy of any mention when you mention man of the match, and that was either Bradley or, and I hate the word Dacky, it was either Bradley or Jake Turner. Jake Turner got close to it, but unfortunately there were still moments in the game where I thought he could have come for crosses and didn't. I mean, he's a big lad. He should be claiming some of these balls that are coming in. But staying on the line with 3 young centre halves in front of you isn't great. So just for that reason alone, I mean, don't get me wrong, he kept us in the game and for as long as he did with some quality saves. And it's probably one of his better performances. But after he saved the penalty, I didn't think he did very well. His kicking went apart. And whatever. But that, all the reasons Eddie said, first half he made us move. Second half, he was probably the only bright spot out of our 10 outfield players who deserved anything. So over 90 minutes, I gave it to Bradley.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, for me, surprise, actually. So it's probably the second time in the last 3 weeks that I've given Jake man of the match. I think, he's come into a difficult situation. Glenn's gone out injured, but I really think that he stepped up, not only Saturday, but even against Bristol Rovers, all way back when, a month ago. And he's made some good saves. Like, he kept us in the game in the second half, I feel, with that absolutely outstanding save and then with the penalty save. And I just feel that, I've been his biggest critic. I'll hold my hands up to that. But when a player's playing well, you have to give him praise as well. So yeah, for me it was Jake Turner. So he was it for me. So we will quickly go back to our guess who. It's pretty easy this week, to be fair. I should have made it a little bit harder. So this player has played for Gillingham, Leyton Orient, Man City, Wolves, and Brentford. So any guesses, lads, before we reveal it?
Super Bob.
Go. Have we got any in the comments? Let's have a look. Oh, we got one. Got Sarah. I think it was a giveaway. So, yeah, I should have made that harder, but yeah. It is Rob Taylor, actually, because he doesn't like being called Bob. So
that's why I call him Bob.
That's what we call Dacky.
Right, we've been up with you in the new year. You and Sonia, your missus, we'll be going out for a karaoke night again. So, well done, mate. So we'll have a quick look ahead to Cambridge on Boxing Day. So, Dom, obviously we've drawn, lost, and they've won, drawn, one. Your hopes and aspirations for Boxing Day?
I'm dreading it, to be honest with you. It's going to be one that hopefully doesn't ruin your Christmas, but you can't help but think it will. I think Harris is going to absolutely love coming in with the form we're in at the moment. He's going to absolutely revel in getting one over us. I think hopefully, it seems like when we play the better teams, we actually do perform and get results. So hopefully the current running we've got the next couple of weeks, we do a Gillingham and actually get results. But, you know, I just don't want us to lose to Neil Harris. To be honest, it'll ruin my Christmas. So a draw or more, and I'll be happy.
Ruin my Christmas.
So I'm only the last of it off Emlyn, so that's already going to put me off.
He's going to be sitting there Christmas Day like, I don't want to celebrate today. I don't want any dinner. I just want to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, so if we get a point, yeah, take it, I think.
There we go. And Warren, your hopes and aspirations for Boxing Day, if you have any at all?
I ain't got any hopes or aspirations for Boxing Day, apart from having a few beers and whatever. And it's typical Gillingham, they're bound to ruin my Christmas. So I honestly, we ain't winning the game. If we get a draw, we'll be lucky. We ain't winning the game. Unless we have a major change in personnel and tactics and team selection, I can't see us getting anything.
There we go. And Eddie, I was going to ask this during when we were talking about the game, but I don't think it's really fitting. But are there any positives for us to take at the moment?
Oh, blimey. Well, firstly, I was going to say Gillingham have a long history of ruining Christmas, from whether it's Maidstone or Luton or whatever over the years. So it won't be the first time they've ruined Christmas, but I think the chances of us ruining Christmas is quite high, because it'll be Bonner and Harris, and they'll have the last laugh, and then that's how the world works in Gillingham land, doesn't it? So, I mean, I would just really. First goal's crucial. What would I say is positive? We're only 5 points off the playoffs.
Oh. 10
I mean,
top,
no, but I mean, what I mean is, all is not lost. Say you win 2 games in this division because it's so mediocre, it makes a big difference. But we obviously don't look like winning a game at all, let alone stringing 2 together. But what I'm just saying, you know, it is so mediocre that. Say you do sign a striker, or it suddenly clicks, or confidence slightly gets a bit better, or you just get lucky and one in off someone's posterior in the last minute. You know, I mean, it's we're not playing Barcelona. It'll be a Cambridge United side who come for a binary result. You know, we all probably think we'll lose 1-0 to Cambridge because that's what Neil Harris does. But we'll see if we score first, and I think the atmosphere could be quite lively. But we have such a long history of ruining Christmas. I'm ready for that. The only other thing I'd say is the Gills fans who went to Fleetwood, I thought that the pre-match in Jim's bar was quite jolly. They put the last waltz on and everyone was singing, people on stage. Sarah was singing all the right notes, just not in the right order. And it was like, that felt a bit of togetherness. I think there is, amongst the real hardcore who go to Fleetwood on the week before Christmas, there is still that everyone knows each other, and there are some positives. Let's not all just let's just say everything's not completely and utterly broken and destroyed and ruined. And I watch one of the YouTubers I watch is a Plymouth fan, and they do their away day videos, and they went like 10 games without, lost 10 on the trot away or something ridiculous and didn't score a goal or something. And it was all gallows humour and all this. And then they had their big Christmas day out, pre-Christmas at Doncaster 151, and had a very drunken time. And I just feel like, we just need to remember sometimes that things can oddly change. And also it can be just fun on a random day. It can just happen. Enjoy being part of the Gills family. That you are in a random northern town, which you wouldn't otherwise have gone to, and people are in fancy dress and people are singing and drinking and just being together. So I just remember the good bits, even in the dark times.
Yeah, and we do, mate. Like train journeys I've had up with you and stuff like that to away games. We sat, we had a shooting board last game of last season, Port Vale, and you know, the fan base for me is like the massive selling point for this club, even if the football's terrible sometimes, because we come from near and far, and we get on, and let's just keep it that way. Like, I know it can get a little bit ugly on social media and stuff, but it is what it is. So obviously we are sponsors and partners. We are sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wicked Creative, and we are in partnership with Her Game 2 and Sports Social Podcast Network. So before we go, boys, any lasting thoughts before we go? And I'll start with you, Dom.
Everyone has a good Christmas, and hopefully we get a good result to make it even better. And as for the England cricket team, they're a disgrace.
he had to put that in there when Eddie's on, didn't he? And Eddie, any lasting thoughts?
The day of the trip to Fleetwood started with listening to the cricket going wrong, and then got back just in time to start listening to the next day on Test Match Special, the cricket going wrong for the final time. So yeah, marvellous. All I'd say is Gillingham might not just ruin Christmas, though. We could ruin the New Year as well, because obviously it's Swindon away.
Oh yeah, New Year's Day. Yeah, I'll be there, mate. I'll be there.
Park now here.
I think we'll all be there, won't we? New Year's Day.
Warren will be leading the charge.
Yeah. Bit old for it now.
That's Jimmy's job, isn't it? So, Warren, I'll come to you, mate. And any lasting thoughts before we head off?
Yeah, my Christmas message to everyone is just be a little bit more tolerant of other people.
Yeah. There we go. So I just want to put a quick message up for Matt at Jills in the Blood. Obviously, his nan passed away a couple of weeks ago. So I wish him and his family the best Christmas, as I do with all of you as well. If you want to join us, then join us at the View from the Medway on Facebook. If you want to follow us, then follow us at the View from the Medway Fancast, or at TVFTM on X, or the View from the Medway Fancast on YouTube. If we've got nothing else, lads, then we'll leave it there.
Yeah, cheers, Chris.
Nothing else? No? Okay. So anyway, have a good Christmas, everyone. All the best, and we will see you on Boxing Day. I've been Chris. He's been Warren. He's been Dom. He's been Eddie. Good night, and up the Jills.